This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'd like to be joined by promoter Nisse Sauerland today. Nisse, first and foremost, before we get down to boxing talk, how are you?
Doing very well, thank you very much, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good, thank you for asking. Now, let's get straight down to it. I was watching the show last night in Berlin. Jack Kulkai claimed a razor-thin split decision win over Abbas Baraou. Brilliant fight, first and foremost. Very good, entertaining, fan-friendly fight. Lots of debate around the scorecards, though. Nisse, your thoughts on the fight, firstly?
I believe that Germany's been waiting for a fight like this to kickstart boxing again. I thought, credit to both guys. They left it all in the ring. Both great professionals, both world class. I thought Abbas looked, something special. I've been reading the comments on Twitter and Instagram, and people now know who Abbas Baraou is, and I believe he's only his 10th fight, and to fight someone of the stature of Jack Kulkai, former world champ, world title challenger, etc. Someone of his pedigree, I think he did amazingly well.
It certainly seemed like when the final bell went, it seemed like the perfect step up, almost Josh Taylor-esque when he fought Victor Postel, that last step, that perfect test he needed before he goes on to challenge for world honours. A really competitive fight. A lot of people did feel like he'd got the nod as well. A great learning fight for him. How do you reflect on those scorecards? The one judge gave Kulkai the first 5 rounds. How do you explain that?
I think it was the first 5 rounds, and then the 6th was a draw. So he basically has to knock him out from then on, or knock him down, or it's. Listen, I understand that it was a close fight. I totally understand that, but you cannot score the first 5 rounds to Jack Kulkai. That is. It's almost like he just ticked the boxes before the fight. He just decided, right, okay, there, and now he's like going to just, Kulkai's guaranteed to win. For me, it's probably one of the, not the worst bits of scoring, because it was a close fight. I had Abbas winning by a couple of rounds. Most people did, but just to have the first 5 rounds, watch the first 5 rounds. How does that make any sense? What fight were you watching? The guy should never be allowed to judge another fight. Simple as. I asked everyone for a fair fight last night, and I just, one had it for Jack. I think the other one was, I can't remember the exact scores, but just that one judge, the first 5 rounds, just to give to Jack, is just unexplainable, in my opinion, and I think in everyone on social media's opinion as well.
No, you were actually with Abbas earlier. I'm sure you saw him after the fight last night too. He gave a great account of himself. By all means, his stock went through the roof, but obviously the problem being he didn't get the decision. How is Abbas feeling after this fight?
We were discussing it, and we feel like the winners. I saw Jack after the fight. I could see his how he's acting, his body language. He wasn't exactly raising his hands and jumping in the air. He knew he'd lost. He's a fair guy. He's a great fighter, Jack Kulkai, and we've worked with him as well. He's a gentleman. He knew he'd lost the fight. He may now start to say he won or whatever else. He's gone very quiet. I haven't seen anything on social media or anything, but he knew he lost the fight. Abbas, on the other hand, feels like the winner. We had a winner's dinner last night. We celebrated, and we feel like, in some ways, through a loss like this, a setback, he's going to come back even stronger. It's his 10th fight, and he had more in the tank. So he fought that fight with a hell of an output, and he still had more to go. And Jack Kulkai was quite clever. He works with an Arthur Abraham style. He doesn't do anything for the first half of the round and just goes for it the second half. Which when you're dealing with the judges that we're dealing with, that sometimes works. But yeah, Abbas is holding his head high. He feels like he won, and I think he's going to come out the winner in this. People, if he narrowly if he got the scorecards and narrowly got the nod against Kulkai, maybe there wouldn't be such outroar on social media. People are actually tweeting about it. People are getting to know his name. People are actually watching the fight, and you know, people in America are tweeting about it. And I think that's you know, it's putting his name out there a bit more.
That was sort of leading into my next question. Abbas, since he turned professional and he's been under the guidance of you guys, you've all made no secret of wanting to move quickly and aggressively and to help him learn along the way. Result aside, how much did he learn in that ring last night in what was a super competitive fight and a brilliant fan-friendly fight too?
I mean, if you've seen the improvement under Adam Booth, I mean, the fight before was quite hard to compare, but let's say the Molina fight to now training with Adam Booth for 2 months, 6 weeks to 2 months, and training with H as well as his gym. It's unbelievable. I think the sky's the limit with this kid. He's super talented, and in there he learned how to fight 12 rounds at a hell of a pace. He didn't stop throwing, but also next time he'll be able to throw the kitchen sink, because he threw most of it at him, but he probably had a little bit left in the tank. Because he was, you know, after the fight, he was, you know, he wasn't exhausted that you normally see a guy after 12 rounds. The guy's fit as anything. You know, we were up till about 4 a.m. having a Turkish meal, and you know, we all felt like we won, and we feel like the winners, and that's fine. You know, maybe he's got a 1 against him, 1 loss against him, but you know what? That doesn't matter. He learned it in there. People know his name now, and he's going to come back stronger. And we want that rematch straight away.
That's where I was going to go with that. Is that got to be number one priority to get that on as soon as possible, straight back on?
Listen, I think everyone in Germany want it, and I think the IBF will be tied up for a little bit. So, yeah, that's what we want. That's what we want. We know we'll beat Kulkai next time, much more handily. You know, I think there was a stage in that fight where he's in trouble, and he sorry, there's loads of people walking behind me. He was in trouble, I think, in the 9th or the 10th, and then suddenly he got the break to, you know, do his tape up and whatever else, just take a breather at the beginning of the round, and it was just like, you know, it's like, just fight, you know. Yeah. Anyway, we are where we're at. I don't feel disappointed. I feel like we won. Abbas feels like he won. We feel like we're 2 free fights away from a world title fight. And I think under the guidance of Adam and Boxing Booth Jim, and ourselves on obviously the promotional side, so the sky's the limit. This kid can be a proper star.
Just a few other bits, Nisse. I'm appreciative of your time. Also, last night we saw Vincent Feigenbutz make his middleweight debut. He's back with unanimous decision victory in Berlin as well. What do you make of his performance?
I think that's his best performance he's ever had, at middleweight as well. His jab was, you know, I've never seen him jab like that. He's got a new trainer. He's got a new team around him. I think he looked very strong at the weight. I think he could even go down a weight class even. But you know, he looked good, and you know, Saeed, he's not a bad fighter. So I think it's a good weight class for him. Look, when you saw him fight Caleb Plant, he was totally. You saw his like man versus boy. The guy was a giant compared to him. And he's middleweight definitely suits him better. And he's jabbing better. He's actually moving his head finally. You know, I think look, again, it was a good night for us last night. I'm very happy. I'm very happy with Abbas's performance. I'm very happy with Vince's performance. I'm not happy with Mr. Bebic's performance. And I do not believe he should ever adjudicate the fight again.
Now, if you've got the time, Nisse, I'd just like to talk about a couple of things away from last night. We have had a lot of boxing on in the last sort of month or so. We've had that resurgence finally. One fight that did stun the UK audience, I'm sure you were tuned in, everybody was tuned in. Alexander Povetkin, stunning 5th round knockout of Dillian Whyte at Fight Camp. Who the hell saw that coming after the 4th round, Nisse?
Well, I mean, the 4th round was, to be honest, I watched the 1st round, and I thought Povetkin edged the first round. I thought he was tagging him well to the body that left, and then I went out and walked the dog. I thought, it's going to last a few rounds. So I took the dog round the block, and then suddenly I get a text like, we've all got these lads WhatsApp groups. God, I can't swear, can I? But effing hell, did you just see that knockout? And I was like, what? And so I rushed home, rewound it, and watched the whole fight. And yeah, I mean, Sasha was in a lot of trouble in the fourth round, but that shot was a thing. It was a shot from the gods. And I think Dillian was fighting better than he's ever fought. He was doing really well up until that point. And you know what? I think it's just not nice the way people kick people, when they're down. I know Dillian's got his opinions, and he can be controversial and whatever else, but to take a fight against someone like Alexander Povetkin when you know that you're WBC mandatory, and to risk it, I admire that. That's proper old school boxing, where you don't care if you lose a fight, and the fact is that, listen, he's going to jump in and fight him straight away again. If I was looking after him, I would maybe get him a confidence fight again. I know he's a strong man. I know he's strong-minded, but let's say like when you saw George Groves get knocked out by Carl Froch in front of 80,000 people, you saw we went straight back in. We fought Rabras straight away. Rabras, tough guy, but he's not on George Groves' level. He's not world class. Yeah, he's European class. George struggled with that fight, and I think that was down to, you just got knocked out, and I think he needed, just to get back in that ring and exercise some demons in an easier way. I think getting back in that ring after getting knocked out like that and going back in with the same guy, I think he should run it through once with an easier fight. That's just my belief. Listen, I'm not saying don't do it. The guy, he'd probably win, but that's just my point of view. And I hope he proves me wrong, obviously, but he's a strong-minded guy. What can you say? I look forward to the rematch.
There's another heavyweight in action that night, Nisse, in the form of Alan the Savage Babic. He sort of made a bit of a scene on the night. He has immediately been shouting after Filip Hrgović. He's been very vocal. He's been all over Sky Sports chasing Filip Hrgović. I appreciate Hrgović is a lot further down the line. You think eventually, though, that's a huge fight for Croatia?
Yeah, it might be for Croatia. I can't really judge that. I do think, people call out people all the time. Yeah, obviously he wants to associate his name with Filip Hrgović. It's levels. Filip's Premier League, he's Vauxhall Conference or whatever. I think Babic needs to win a few fights. Fight Tom Little, that'd be a good fight. Test him out. I personally think Tom Little will beat Alan Babic. I think that'd be a step too far for him. I mean, what do I know? Maybe he is, the second coming of Telko Mavrovic or whoever, but what I saw against Shaundell Winters was someone who can have a row. And but if you just keep your hands up and just block those shots and step in and throw a shot of your own, and if you're the size of Filip Hrgović and you whack the same, whack very, very hard, he's just got no chance. And I think he's using Filip's name to promote himself. He'd never do the fight, Why would we do the fight? It brings us absolutely nothing. It's a tune-up fight.
It's an intriguing time for Filip Hrgović. Eddie Hearn, in an interview with ourselves a few days ago, was saying, with all this Queensbury versus Matchroom talk, why not do Hrgović-Dubois down the line? Is that a fight that would interest you at all in the future?
Yeah. Well, look, we're on our journey. We believe that we'll have to get a mandatory shot for any of the world champions to fight us. And I don't blame the world champions for that. It's just like, why would you? Dubois, I think, is a very, very strong kid, and I think he's still developing. I think Joyce is going to be a tougher fight than they expect. I think if I saw the odds were like 4-1, which, for me, it's a 50-50 fight. Not because Dubois. I just think it's Dubois is a seriously talented kid, and I think he's developing. He's still young. I don't know. Let's look. I think I don't know. I can't call that fight. But for Philip, I think it's realistically, is that going to happen? Is that would Dubois just fight Philip Hrgović? I don't think so. Someone's going to have a title. We see how hard it is to get opponents for Philip at the moment. It's just a nightmare. So yeah, Dubois Hrgović, good fight, but I just can't see it happening for a long time.
Now, Nisse, I want to ask you a bit about women's boxing. Obviously booming at the minute. We've had some brilliant fights since sort of lockdown started to ease a little bit. First and foremost, we saw Terry Harper at Fight Camp a couple of weeks ago. I believe the WBC have now ordered her to face Katarina Sanders. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a purse bid in a couple of weeks. We'll probably get a deal done with Eddie. But it's a good fight. I thought Terry Harper would have beaten Jonas, but Jonas really surprised me. She did really well. So it's a good fight. Let's see.
And finally, we have
Sophie Arlish though. We've seen Sophie Arlish. Now she's a talent.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. We had Sophie Arlish on the channel this morning. We managed to get her on camera for a few minutes, and we're talking about this sort of boom that women's boxing's having at the minute. And she's obviously still 18 years old, but she's coming through. Do you think she will be that next wave of stars we see as this women's game continues to grow and grow?
Yep, 100%. She's got everything. She's got the personality, she's got the training ethics, she's got the boxing skill, and she's got the marketability. I think she could be a world superstar.
All right, Nisse, well, I believe you've got an airport to get to. I've kept you for just around 20 minutes, so I won't keep you any longer.
No, Ryan, no problem. Anytime, mate.
Thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, man.
Best of luck, and I'm sure we'll catch you very soon, okay?
Cheers, Ryan. Bye, mate.